Hello friends and welcome to Escaping the Mouse with your host, me, Buck Rowell. Alright, so today's day 2 of fixing that lamp we started on yesterday. I gotta admit that maybe my concrete skills aren't exactly perfect, and I'd probably be a little ashamed of this if this was going to be like, some sidewalk I laid. But then again, I didn't really, the whole priority wasn't to get the concrete to be nice and smooth and all that. The goal was to kind of keep it underneath the lip of that base of that lamp, and I think it did a pretty good job. It's been about 18 hours now and everything has dried really solid. I decided not to depend just on that one little nut that I bought to hold that whole concrete piece in there. So late last night, while the concrete was still a little bit soft, I actually drove some screws into the side of the base just to provide a little bit more support, so if I pick up the lamp, the base doesn't pop out. So it turned out pretty good. Like I said, it's a little rough, but everything's below the lip, which is what I needed it to be. So I think what I'm going to need to do today now is just put some sort of a base underneath it, just so that when it's sitting on the ground, it isn't scratching whatever it's on. Because right now, the only thing that's going to be making contact with the ground is the lip of that base, that metal lip. And you move that around too much, you're going to scratch things. So I'm going to go find some cardboard, probably just use one of my old cardboard boxes. I got a million of them floating around here. And we're going to come up with some sort of a base for that, just to protect whatever I set it on. So this is how everything turned out, and as you can see, this is nice and hard now. It's, like I said, I'd be embarrassed if this was a sidewalk I'd put out, but it doesn't need to be perfect, it just needs to be heavy, and it's definitely that. I also cut this little groove here going to where the cord goes out, just so that I can make sure that I can keep the cord kind of embedded in there and protect it a little bit so that it isn't being rubbed by the concrete. So I think the first thing I need to do is I need to just restring that cord through this little hole here. And fortunately, that's going to be pretty easy. Hopefully. There it goes. So before I set this thing entirely here, I actually want to kind of put the whole thing back together now, because I do have a little bit of slack in the wire because of the fact that I took the stand apart a little bit. So I'm going to rescrew that stand together, and then we can pull up the slack on here and get this thing set properly. Now that I got the base all kind of put back together, I'm just going to kind of pull real hard on this to pull up any loose slack, and then we can just wrap that into here. And even by itself, that's a lot more stable now, isn't it? So even just like that, it's a lot more stable now. It holds itself up a lot better. So I think we're well on our way to having this improved. It's a little bit unlevel right now, and I might just have to live with that, because that might be that the base got a little bit warped at some point. But you know what? As long as it stands up on its own, I'm good with that. All right, so what I've got is I've just taken apart one of the shipping boxes I've used to move here, and I'm going to actually just draw the circle of the base with a pen here, go all the way around. We're going to do that there, and then we're going to pick this up, move it over here, and we're going to do another one over here. Alright, so I got two circles now drawn on my cardboard. Now I just got to cut these things out. So I actually cut two of these out. One of them I cut a little bit smaller because I actually want it to be inside the frame of the base. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to literally scotch tape it into place right now just to hold it for a few minutes while I put the outer layer on. Because that's where all of the support is going to be anyway, and that's how it's going to be secured here. I could probably go with some sort of a glue, but I'm not sure what glue sticks to concrete really well. But I got this really great duct tape stuff that's really high-end stuff, and so I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to literally duct tape this thing together. Probably not exactly the best way of doing things like that, but I think it'll get the job done. And then this one's a little bit bigger, so it's actually going to cover all the metal here. And then I'm going to try and get this to lay down nice and smooth and flat there when I do it, so that it'll look decent on the outside. Alright, so probably not the perfect and most beautiful thing in the world, but you know what? If the lamp works, I'm in good shape. I'm happy with that. So all I gotta do now is let's put the new plug on this thing and make sure it still works. So I just had to go make a quick little Home Depot trip. It turns out when I bought these plugs yesterday for the replacement for the cord, they weren't exactly the right kind of thing. They were designed for a little bit lower gauge wire than what I was using, and I couldn't get the wire to fit in there, and I couldn't get it to fit into the connection. So I went and got this thing instead. This thing's going to work better. Basically, this is real simple. Just got to split the wire. And use a little bit of my cardboard here that I got left so I don't scuff up the floor. So these things have like a seam down the middle, and I actually just want to literally split it so I can split the two wires in half. And that's going to probably do it right there. Let's get this thing out of the way again. And then I'm going to use my handy dandy wire stripper here, which will just pull the insulation off. Because that's ultimately what I need right there. I need to have the wire so that I can make contact with the plug in here. Alright, so you remember from electrical outlets before that there's actually a multiple color screws here. You got the gold screw, you got the silver screw. Now on this case, it's really hard to tell which is which on this, but if you look closely at the wire, there's actually printing. You know, you can see the two wires are connected. You probably can't see it in the camera, but there's actually some light printing on this one. So the light printing goes with the gold connector. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to twist this up, make a little bit of a loop on it, and I'm going to wrap it around the gold connector. And then use a Phillips screwdriver just to tighten it down. So that takes care of that one. Then I'm going to do the same thing over here. This is the one without the printing on the insulation. Once again, create the loop. And right over the screw. And then screw it down. I know I probably should get closer up so you can actually see what's going on here. But basically, I have connected one wire to each of the connections there. Now all I'm going to do is I'm just going to close it. There's actually a screw that goes through here that holds it closed. So what you want to do is make sure that the wire goes around where the screw is, because you don't want to drive the screw into the thing and have the screw go through the wire. That definitely causes electrical problems. So and then I got the screw. Screw just goes back in here. Screw it down. And that's how that's done. Now I've got a brand new plug on this thing. Okay, granted it looks like something out of the 50s, but whatever. It's going to work, it's brand new, it's good to go. So I found an open outlet here that I could test it on, plug it in. Obviously I didn't do anything horribly wrong because I didn't plug it in, and or when I plugged it in it didn't explode. You know, if you do connect the connector wrong or something else goes wrong and you plug it in, it might just burn up right then and there. But it didn't. And the lamp works now. So, yep, we are back in business. That is how you do that. And of course, you remember me talking about this yesterday, how I tried to go over to Things Remembered and get them to make me a new plate to replace that plate on my retirement gift. And they recommended, they didn't have any of the blank plates because they were brand new. And so they recommended I go over to a trophy shop. Yeah, I brought that thing over to a trophy shop this morning. They told me it would take them 2 days, but they called me up about an hour later and they'd already finished this thing. So yeah, looks good. Except for the fact I cleaned it off and got a little gunk under the plate there. But yeah, that's the final thing there. Looks nice, huh? So that's the end of what I have for our vlog today. I hope you enjoyed that. It was kind of an interesting experience, learning experience for me as well. I'd never worked with concrete a whole lot before. So it was interesting to see that actually worked out. I got that lamp working well again, so we're good to go on that. I got the trophy all taken care of, so yeah, it's been a good day. So now, today's Monday. Today is the day I'm supposed to actually hear whether I got that job or not. So I'm just going to kind of kick back today and hopefully wait for that telephone call. So that's all I have for today. Thank you as always for watching, and I'll see you next time on Escaping the Mouse. Good night.